So continuing our talk on birth trauma and the roots of birth trauma, that is the things that contribute to birth trauma, one of the next things I wanted to talk about is communication, or really lack of communication. I have talked to a lot of people who've had really bad birth experiences, traumatic birth experiences, or just negative experiences in the hospital. But one of the things that constantly comes up in these conversations is people say, you know, Jake, nobody talked to me. Nobody let me know what was going on. And that's huge, right? Fear of the unknown is a very powerful force and really contributes to birth trauma. So I want to talk about 4 domains or 4 areas in which we really need, as healthcare providers, to be able to enhance our communication and communicate better. So to the client, these are the 4 areas in which I really hope we can do better for you. Number 1, you need to be able to get a hold of your provider throughout your pregnancy. Poor or no contact with your healthcare provider contributes to birth trauma because you go into the birth experience already feeling like you're left out of the loop, right? You don't have a sense of everybody working for you. And that's really something I stress with my clients, right? I work for you, not the other way around. You are my boss. I have to communicate with you because you are my boss. I need to let you know what's going on. And you need to be able to get a hold of me if you have, lab results that you don't understand, or an ultrasound report that doesn't make any sense, or you just don't feel good and you need to get a hold of me and make sure that everything's okay. I honestly used to just give all of my clients my cell phone number, and if I could, I still would. That's okay, because they did provide us at least with an alternate way to get a hold of people. And we have a great MyChart system where patients can message me directly. It goes right to my phone. 2 o'clock in the morning, you need something, you message me. My phone gives me a little alert, and boom, I'm there. So at least people can still get a hold of me. That's so important. The second one, this is something that I hope never happens to you, but I know it's happened to a lot of people. This is called the bait and switch. Here we're talking about a healthcare provider telling you that something is possible, and then later on saying, oh, no, we can't do that. Now, I don't mean that we set goals at the beginning of pregnancy. Say you come in and say, I want a water birth, and things happen that make that no longer medically feasible. That's different. I'm talking about duplicitous, tell the patient what they want to hear, and then once you get to the hospital, you find out that that's not true. Right? Specifically, I've seen this happen with VBACs, people who've had a prior cesarean, and then they come to their healthcare provider for pregnancy number 2 or 3 or whatever it is, and say, I really want to have a vaginal birth. And the provider says, of course we can. We love VBACs. And then you get to the hospital and the provider you talk to isn't on that night. And the one that is on says, I'm sorry, we don't do that. Now you feel betrayed. You feel lied to. And that really contributes to trauma, doesn't it? I've also seen this happen with people promising water births, and then whoever's on doesn't do water births. Or saying, you don't have to have an IV if you don't want one. And then they get there and whoever's on says, no, you need one. These tactics are unfair, they're immoral, and they contribute to trauma, right? We need to be able to trust what our healthcare providers are telling us. If I tell you you can do something, and then it turns out that you cannot feasibly make that happen, right? We don't really like to say you can't, but we like to say, I don't feel comfortable providing this for you. Or more importantly, we'll say, I don't recommend this. However, your body, your baby, you're the boss. But if something changes, let's just say you don't want continuous fetal monitoring, but all of a sudden you have skyrocketing blood pressures and protein in your urine, and I say, I'm sorry, you have severe preeclampsia and we need to monitor baby. At the very least, if our plan has changed, I need to be explaining this very well so that you understand what changed and how that modified my recommendations for you. Right? Does that make sense? I hope it does. The third one is this. Now we're getting really more directly towards birth trauma itself. Failure to explain or update you in your labor, right? That starts the minute you walk in the door. You walk into labor and delivery triage, and there are machines, you don't know what they are. There are IV pumps and IV bags, and you have no idea what's going on there. And all of a sudden, people are using words that you don't understand. And they're telling you, quote unquote, telling you things that make no sense to you. And nobody's there explaining, okay, what is the plan? What are these things you would like to connect to me? What's beeping and why is it beeping? What are these alarms going off and why is that happening? This one's huge, who are these people walking in and out of my room with no introductions, right? Or if I look worried, Jake, why do you look worried, right? If your healthcare provider is upset or concerned about how your labor is going, you should know everything I know, okay? That's huge. Let me say that again, slower. You should know everything I know when it comes to your labor and birth. There should be no secrets here. Failure to do that contributes significantly to birth trauma. Finally, I want to talk about circling back. This is what happens when something does go sideways in labor, right? Everything's going, this happened to me several times. It happens to everybody that delivers babies for a living several times. Everything's going smoothly. Mom's pushing beautifully. Baby's head comes out and the shoulders don't. And now we have a shoulder dystocia. And all of a sudden, the room is full of extra people trying to help. And there's alarms going off. And there's people raising their voices. I try and calm that down in the delivery room as best I can. But sometimes you can't control the other people in there. And all of a sudden, people are doing things to you relatively quickly. Legs up, legs down, let's flip her over, etc., etc. And then you have a baby, and maybe that baby comes out a little stunned, and baby gets taken right away to the warmer, and we're doing resuscitation, and this is terrifying. And in the moment, there's no time to really explain to you exactly what's going on. In that case, there needs to be, as quickly as possible, a circling back where I come back to you and I say, now that things are calm, now that you're safe, now that baby's safe, let's talk about what just happened and why. And let's answer any questions. And honestly, if you are upset, I need to allow you to tell me why you're upset. And not argue and not justify. Just hear you. And if I did something wrong, this is the time when I need to say, you know what? I'm human and I made a mistake here and I'm sorry. Circling back is so important in helping heal after a traumatic event. So communication, while we say that, it's almost a buzzword in the medical community right now. Communication can either contribute to or help prevent all kinds of birth trauma.